All right, everyone, welcome back to the third part to the 4-part day in the life of a Parker's athlete series. Leading up to Ironman Florida, I thought I would text 4 of my athletes that will be racing in Ironman Florida and ask them, could you please film a day in your life, send me the clips, and then I'll put together a little video. And at first, I was just gonna make one video from all 4 of my athletes, but then after I edited the first one, just finished filming a serial time review. This was actually pretty good. As I was saying, after I finished editing the first one, and it was 20 minutes long, I thought, let's not make one big video, but we'll make 4 shorter videos. So over the past 2 days, I posted parts 1 and parts 2. Part 1 featured Rob Post, my oldest athlete. Part 2 featured Side, my youngest athlete. And today, we're gonna be taking a look at what a day in the life of Brian's life looks like. Now, to give a short introduction about Brian, there's actually one very interesting fact about Brian is that he's actually been running every day for, I think it's coming up somewhere between 500 and 600 days. Every day he has been running. He even ran the day after he did Ironman Texas, which was the first Ironman he's done. Actually, I think Brian is the only athlete out of these 4 that I'm featuring that will not be his first Ironman. Brian did Ironman Texas at the beginning of the year with me, and he even ran the day after I joined him. It wasn't pretty, but we got it done. But anyway, yeah, so Brian's been running every day for, like I said, almost 500-600 days. Honestly, I don't know how he does it. He's also done one of the backyard ultras, when you run 4 miles every hour for as long as you can. He stopped after 50 because it was actually just a month ago, and we didn't want to overcook him for Ironman Florida. But honestly, if I tried to do 1 week of his running, I would be in the hospital the following Monday. My body would not be able to handle it, but somehow he can. And now another interesting thing about Brian is, the way we started working together, Natasha, my coach, so the owner at NVDM, she comes up to me about, 12 weeks, so 3 months before Ironman Texas at the beginning of the year. She said, Parker, I have this athlete for you. I think you guys are going to get along great. Young guy, he's very driven, great biker, runs every day, loves running. That's kind of my specialty, running. But then she said, there's one thing, he doesn't know how to swim. I'm like, what? And he wants to do an Ironman in 12 weeks? And she said, yeah. But, 12 weeks later, Ironman Texas came around, and Brian finished. And not only did he finish in under 12 hours, and he negative split the marathon. He's the first athlete I've ever seen to negative split a marathon, especially one in Ironman. I've never been able to do that. I think he closed the last 2 miles much faster than I did. So, Brian is one heck of a guy, but I'm going to stop talking. Oh, and to make sure you don't miss out on the last part of this series, which is going to be featuring another very fun athlete, and I'll have more fun stories to tell you. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. That's going to be dropping tomorrow. Brian, come on here and show us what a day in your life looks like.
All right, it is 7:30 in the morning. Welcome to a day in the life as one of Parker's tortured athletes.
To be fair, remember, this guy is paying me every month.
Okay, so we've got breakfast and crucially coffee done. Day in the life of being Brian O'Hara. Today is Saturday, October 21st. This isn't like every day. Today's like a medium, bigger day. We have a 3-hour bike ride that used to be 5 hours on deck, which I'm hoping I'm gonna get started on in the next 20 minutes. And then open water swimming and a runoff. I have been training for Ironman Florida for the past 6 months since finishing my first triathlon at Ironman Texas. That's where I signed up for it. The goal is to go sub 11. Ironman Texas, I was able to do 11:59. So I'm hoping that I can do a little bit better than that in Florida in a couple weeks. Started training with NVDM in February in kind of a last ditch effort to learn how to swim. I'd been training for Ironman Texas for 10 months, but had not swam before February 13th. So I called Natasha, got partnered up with Parker, and his swims, his coaching made it possible for me to even finish the swim. The rest of it went really well. And I'm looking to take significant time off the bike and the run and make sure that I can swim in the open ocean. Right now, the outside of my left foot is not feeling super great from some runs earlier in the week. I've done a ton of running. I had a 20-mile final build to the marathon effort on Monday, and then yesterday I did 3 separate runs.
I only gave him one run to do.
For about 14 miles, so we're gonna take it super easy. But I do have a daily run streak. I've been running every day for 515 days at this point. So we're definitely gonna get that in. But first, we're gonna have coffee. We're gonna listen to Zach Bryan or Noah Khan. And when I feel ready, we're gonna get on the bike. All right, so change of plans. The bike, for the first time ever, had an issue. I was just going to film the warm up and you saw it. Immediately, it was not on erg mode, but it was. So the warm up, which is supposed to be 130 watts building to I think 80% of my FTP, was 240 up to 550. It was crazy. So you saw me trying to troubleshoot it. I unplugged it, plugged it back in. Of course, there was a Zwift update that I was oh, I don't need it. So I went out and did the update. It's still not working. And we've now missed the window where I could get this bike workout in before a lunch that I have at noon. So we're gonna do the open water swim now. Because I do have enough time to go do that. Plans to go up to the quarry, which I've never done before. So I'm gonna change. We're gonna do that, and then I have lunch at noon, and we're gonna hope that when I come back, the bike is back to normal, so I can do it this evening. All right, so I'm walking to the quarry. Good news, figured out what was hurting my foot. There was a blister that had formed underneath my calluses. So it was just putting a tremendous amount of pressure somewhere underneath. But thankfully, people at Lifetime had a push pin, so I lanced it, kind of. But I broke it open, so there's no more pressure. I was literally not limping, but it was bad. So I'm glad that that's over, and I procrastinated enough. Now I have to actually go do this open water swim. Okay, so we just finished the open water swim. The workout was supposed to be 4,000 meters, something like 4,800 yards, in 1:15. I cannot swim that fast, and I am already late to get coffee. So I ended up doing 4 laps around the quarry, worked out to about 3,100 yards, and it was an hour-long swim. All right, we are back. So recap the swim, didn't record coffee lunch that I had from noon to 2:30. So that went a little longer than I expected. It's 3:30 now. And unfortunately, I figured out what was wrong with the kicker bike. I just had to like download new software. So unfortunately, I have to do bike ride. So I'm deciding to eat now. We'll see if that's a mistake. So I made steak. I'm gonna have eggs. I'm just letting that cool. Get something quick in before a 3 hour and like 15-minute bike ride, followed by a runoff. So as long as things don't break on me, I'm gonna go do that, and I'll be done around 8 p.m. So gonna focus on eating, and then I'll see you then. All right, we are starting the workout at 4:01 p.m. Got 3 hours and 13 minutes. Finally, the bike is worked out. The warm-up is going. The workout looks like it's like 40 minutes of a warm-up, and then 5 sets of 3 minutes, progressively building up to about 80% of FTP. And then I've just got 4 rounds of 20 minutes at Ironman like output, which looks like it's going to be 195 watts with a little bit more recovery between each set, and then a 33-minute cool down, which we'll see if I end up doing all of the cool down. After that, I'll do a runoff. I've run, I think, like 45 miles this week. So it's prescribed as 5 miles, like Ironman pace. It's just gonna be a daily run. I can already tell. So the real question is, what am I gonna be listening to or watching on the TV? We'll find out. See ya. Okay, so we just made it through the first rep of the main set. 20 minutes at 195 watts. Right now, feels okay because I'm at 130, but that kind of sucked. It's like a double-edged sword. When you have 20-minute rep, you're wanting like the more intense, shorter, 45 steps for the workout kind of exercise. But when I have that, I wish that I had just like one power output to hold the whole time. So the way that I think about like breaking up these longer bike rides on a trainer kind of depend. Like this one's not the longest, it's 3 hours. But in my head, I've done an hour and 18 minutes, and to think that I have 2 more hours of this would kind of suck. But I really only have 1 more hour of work because I've got 3 more 20-minute sections. So I'm gonna think about it that way. Maybe at some point I will be one of those cringe influencers who go, mile 1, 6:45. But second set is done. Again, feels a lot harder when you're doing it than in these recovery sections. But I thought that I'd talk about my nutrition because that's like one of the bigger parts of this final couple weeks, or just any long training ride, is to make sure that you're practicing fueling the way that you will on the day of the event. So I've been doing the same thing ever since like I really started biking, with like taking nutrition on the bike. So I use a full serving of Scratch Super High Carb, which is 400 calories, 100 carbs, and 400 milligrams of sodium. And then on top of that, I add an extra element packet and try to combine flavors. So like raspberry and lime are the flavors for Scratch High Carb. And I'll usually do like watermelon element, or lime element, but I won't do lime and lime. My stomach's never had an issue. I have kind of a tough stomach, I think, because I've done some runs with like burgers and other. So yeah, I'm taking in not as much as I'll do on race day. Sorry, Parker. I ran out of Scratch, so I have to resupply, but I have 2 race day bottles for a 3-hour workout. And my goal, day of the event, is to take in 1 bottle per hour. So I'm aiming for something like
a 5 to 5:30 bike split. When I did Ironman Texas, I came in around 6:20, and I've been putting in some miles on the bike, so I hope to make up almost an hour on the bike, if not a little bit more in Florida. All right, we've got one more rep. 3 are in the books, 4th is to go. Yeah, I mean, again, in the moment, they suck, but they're getting easier. Like 20 minutes is a long amount of time, but I feel like the longer that I go into workouts and the more like familiar that effort gets, like the easier it is. I would not like to do this for another 2 hours, which is what the workout was supposed to be. It was gonna be, I don't know if it was 20 minutes each, but it was gonna be a 5-hour workout on the bike. So thankfully that is not the case. Instead, tomorrow I have a century ride that I wanted to do. So smaller bike today. I've got one more rep, then the runoff, then recovery. Let's get it.
2,000 years later.
So we did it. The runoff was about 10 or 15 minutes after the bike wrapped up. Yoshi, my dog, was being needy and I needed to take him out. So I did that. Runoff was very chill. I ended up doing like mile splits were 9:26, 9:16, and like 9:10. Maybe at some point I will be one of those cringe influencers who go, mile 1, 6:45. So it was all zone 2. My foot is feeling better, like there's less pressure because I've opened up that blister, but it still feels like there was pressure there before. So just taking it easy. Parker's told me don't run more than I have to, so I'm taking that to heart.
And then yesterday I did like 3 separate runs.
I only gave him 1 run to do.
Still going to clear 50 miles this week. And now we're focused on recovery. So, got a pizza, going to eat that. And then we'll see if I have another video, just recapping the day. All right, the day is over. I am horizontal now. So yeah, that's a average day in the life. Definitely not, I average somewhere between like 14 and 20 hours of work a week. I think like my peak has been like 24 hours, and there have been some weeks in the build where I've been like off and doing like 9 or 10. But today is one of the last big days. Fueling throughout. I woke up, I ate oatmeal, banana, honey, almond milk before the swim, 2 cups of coffee, went on the swim, went from that to get more coffee and 2 like sandwich croissants, came back, ate some nerds, made steak and eggs. It was like 8 ounces of steak, 2 eggs, jumped on the bike, took in like another 800 calories worth of liquid nutrition, and then more water, element, and then half of a Domino's pizza and breadsticks. So Parker is actually going to do all the macros for me right after this. So he'll hit you with the daily nutrition. But that's it. It's a wrap. Night.
So I will not be dropping all the nutrition and stuff. I just don't want to do the math. I will say, however, though, steak and eggs, I think that has to be the most interesting pre-workout meal I've ever heard of an athlete having. So kudos to you, Brian. Another very interesting thing about Brian is his Strava titles. I think they are the most interesting out of all my athletes. So if you guys want to check out what he titles his, bike, swim, runs, check him out on Strava. I'll have his Strava and his Instagram in the description box below. And while you're in that description box, right next to that is a big red subscribe button. Make sure to hit that so you don't miss out on the finale of this little series I'm doing. And yeah, thanks again, Brian. Hope you guys enjoyed this day in the life, and we'll catch you in the next one.